paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of Melick Law, not WBEV or Good Karma Brands. Good morning and welcome to a Melick Monday. We are live from the Slumberland Furniture Studios and the Daily Dodge TV studios as we stream live at dailydodge.com. You can also subscribe to Daily Dodge TV on YouTube, so please take just a couple of minutes out of your very busy day, and when you subscribe to Daily Dodge TV on YouTube, please be sure to click on the notifications icon so you get alerts when something is happening live in the Daily Dodge TV studios. I'm Amy Hudson, and yes, if you subscribe to Daily Dodge TV, you have an alert because we are live here at 100 Bill McCollum Way, and no Rob Melick, so it feels a little weird. We get together with Rob Melick of Melick Law the third Monday of every month. Rob helps us with big things that we're not expected to know all of the ins and outs about, like estate planning. Estate planning, Rob says many times that even though people choose to ignore the topic because no one wants to think about dying, it is inevitable. There are not many certainties in life, and unfortunately, death is one of them. And it's important to be prepared for that so we don't leave a mess behind for our loved ones. And we have things set up properly so we get that peace of mind while we are still here. And this is fantastic. It is like a wall of talented women right now in the Daily Dodge TV studio. You're talented too, Jeff Olive in the Summerland Furniture Studios, and Justin the Ninja Wilski, who's producing down here in the Daily Dodge TV studios. This morning, we are welcoming Rob's paralegal team. He had mentioned to me a couple weeks ago that he wouldn't be able to make the show today. We'll talk about what those obligations are because he's very involved with the folks that he works with, that he helps, and also he's a busy dad, being involved with a lot of extracurricular activities with his two kiddos, Grady and Hudson. This morning we are welcoming Shannon Schwartz, Taylor Janisic, and Stacy. I saved the most difficult last name for last. Don't help me here, Stacy. Stacy McAnally?
Yes.
All right. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here. It was funny to me as we were getting settled in because I had just shared with the three of you that Rob had mentioned he couldn't be here today and thought it would be really interesting to have the three of you join the show today to talk about things that happen in the office from your perspective. And I think it was you, Stacy, or maybe all of you laughed. He's like, oh, well, that's not what he told us. What did he tell you?
He just told us to come out here and have fun. No guidance.
Oh, I love that. And I did think it was so much fun. A couple of months ago, we had our Milwaukee baseball bus trip, and we were headed in. I don't know how far out from American Family Field we were, but when we discovered that we had a couple of extra tickets, what did Rob Melick do?
He gave us a nice phone call.
He told us to leave.
Shut down the office and come to the game.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we did.
We just left.
I thought that was so great. Matt Heyer was with us that day, and I just thought that was really awesome that he did that. We'll go around and we'll start with you, Stacy, because I really do want to get to know each of you and learn how you came to be a part of the Melick Law team. I've really enjoyed getting to know Rob Melick and working with him over the past few years. Stacy, where's your hometown? What's your story?
Sure. So I live in Jackson.
Okay.
I started off with a firm out there about 10 years ago. That's actually where I met Rob because he had moved back to Wisconsin from Pennsylvania at that time. He went and opened his own practice while I stayed at the other firm. And then 3 years ago, he asked me to come on board. So I made that jump from one firm to him, and we've been working together since. So,
how long have you been a paralegal, and what inspired you to take that career path?
So I started college in 2007, right after I graduated high school, and I had no clue what I wanted to do. But you were supposed to go to college, so that's what I did.
Okay.
Well, not having any clue, I was just jumping from class to class, spending more money than I cared to, and so finally decided to take a year off because I needed a break.
Where were you going to school?
I originally started at Concordia in Mequon, then I went to MATC in Mequon, and then I took a break. And then I found Everest University online, and I finished all through an online program.
Good for you.
So that was 10 years ago, and then started in the field, and now I'm here today.
That's awesome. That's great. I love that. I oftentimes forget that Rob's not from Wisconsin. You know, that
he is,
moved.
but he isn't. Yeah, he left, or he was born here, left to go to Pennsylvania for school, and then came back home.
Yeah, it's where the heart is.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, now, Taylor, it's Janisic, correct?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, right.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, you got it.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, where your hometown is, what your background is, and how you joined the team at Melick Law.
Yeah, shout out to Cedarburg, Wisconsin. That's
All
where
right.
I'm born and raised. So I actually started my legal career in Milwaukee because that's where I was living at the time, and going to MATC, which is where I finished my associates in paralegal studies last year. So I started out actually working in bankruptcy as a legal assistant, and that's just because I, believe it or not, liked the course, and I took it towards the end, and I really enjoyed it. So that's how I started out my legal career, and then was in Milwaukee working as a legal assistant, and then moved back home to Cedarburg, and actually took a break from the legal field just because finding work was a lot more difficult in a smaller town versus in Milwaukee. There's a lot more jobs. And then ended up in estate planning, honestly, randomly, at a different firm first. And it was, like I said, completely random. And then ended up leaving that job. And while looking for jobs, I came across the job posting for Melick Law on Indeed, actually, and it just so happened that it was the exact type of work I had just done and was enjoying, so I interviewed for the position, and that's how I ended up on the team.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cedarburg is a lovely area.
It is, yeah, it is.
I've always wanted to go to the Strawberry Festival. They have a Strawberry
Yeah,
Festival
yeah.
there. What is that in June? When is that?
I want to say
believe it's
that's
end of June.
June, yeah. I mean, you'd think I'd know, but I mean, for a long time I didn't go because I grew up going all the time. And now, after taking a break, I'll go here and there. But it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's fun.
And she's all revved up and ready to go. She had a Red Bull before the show here today. We have Shannon Schwartz also joining us here, part of the Melick Law paralegal team. Shannon, where are you from? What's your story? How did you join the team at Melick Law?
Sure. So originally, I'm from all the way down in Muskego.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I'm in Heartland now.
Okay.
For now, Waukesha based. Let's see. I didn't originally go to school to be a paralegal. I didn't know what a paralegal was before I started it. I think I got like halfway through a medical degree, decided I hated it, and then I, just was looking on the website for MATC, and I said, paralegal looks exciting. Why not try it? Ended up liking it a lot. I was doing general practice for like 3 or 4 years before. Let's see, I think we did maybe like half criminal law, half corporate, civil stuff, some municipal stuff too. Thought I hated being a paralegal there. Didn't like general practice.
No.
I, too, found Rob randomly. I was looking through job postings, and I was like, well, estate planning's not too bad. I like that. Applied for it. Rob liked me. Here I am.
I love it. And
They both passed the background checks, we
Yeah.
both approved.
My CCAP was fine.
Oh, my goodness. Good to know. How many years have you been on the team with Rob?
I just started with him in April.
Okay. So
Shannon's been with us since April, and Taylor since March.
I mean, we're
Yeah,
like,
like
she
two
started
weeks
We're
like
both
two
technically hired on
Yeah.
the same day, so.
Yeah.
got
yeah.
it. As you were talking, Shannon, just what you had said, like, didn't really know what a paralegal was. I don't really know what a paralegal does. Tell us about the focus of your work. Like, what does a paralegal do, and what are some of the things that you help Rob with and the clients of Melick Law? Who wants to start with what the heck does a paralegal do?
I'm going to go put Taylor in the spot because
Sure.
in a different radio show that we were on, I think she best described what we do.
I mean, the specifics of the job definitely depends on the area of law in which you work. But from a general consensus, I'd say a paralegal does pretty much everything that an attorney does, like with application of law and stuff and drafting documents. We do all the work that he basically doesn't have time to do. The only thing that, that we don't do is like, we don't understand the law as much as him. So it's like, when it comes to advising clients and like the more specific stuff, that's going to be more his thing. But we do like, all the paperwork and putting all the documents together and
dealing with the court if needed.
Yeah.
What type of paperwork? Like Rob talks a lot about, powers of attorney, financial and health. Are those things that you help to pull together and organize?
Yeah, so we draft the packets for everyone. So we do their powers of attorney for healthcare, durable, financial. We do their wills, their trusts, and all the smaller documents that go with it, like certifications and declarations, and deed work.
Oh, okay. Like property deeds?
Yeah, so a lot of times Rob will have people conveying their property via a transfer on death beneficiary deed just to their trust to help avoid the probate process.
Okay. And Shannon, you were talking about not really enjoying general practice so much. What is it about estate law that each of you find different, and what makes you like it better than general practice?
So general practice for me was just way too hectic. I was working under two attorneys who did different things, so it's bouncing between like criminal, municipal, civil, corporate, just every single day. It was too much for me.
Yeah.
Estate planning is a lot more relaxed of a field, or it could just be Rob in general. He's a very chill guy.
Yeah.
We like him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think I feel more that I'm helping people actually, and I can see that come together. And a lot of people do tell us when they're with us, it's a big stress relief for them, and it's always nice to hear.
Yeah, stress relief and that peace of mind Rob talks about often when everyone finally has their plan together. Yeah. What about you, Taylor? What do you enjoy about estate law?
Yeah, kind of the same thing that Shannon said. Before I went into estate planning in between bankruptcy, I actually worked at a medium-sized civil litigation firm. And I worked under 3 attorneys and 1 paralegal, all doing a little bit different stuff. And it was hectic. And it's like when it comes to estate planning, also with bankruptcy, it's very like black and white. And by that, I mean like it is what it is. Like it's very like procedural, and like there's not a lot of room for like, I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. And it's a lot of form filling, and it's a lot of just like, applying the information where it needs to be applied. Whereas like when you work in like general practice or civil litigation, you don't know, like it's like literally a million different things every day. I mean, when I worked at that medium-sized civil litigation firm, I definitely was never bored, but also it was so stressful. Very stressful.
Well, and when you talk about, like there's no real gray area either. There's not a lot open for interpretation.
Right. Like there's some, but not a lot.
Yeah. What about for you, Stacy?
I have to say I enjoy it more, but unlike Taylor and Shannon, I came from more of a secular, I guess. Like I had a main focus, so I came from divorce work, and.
Was that really stressful? Just because
it was awful.
Talk about things open to interpretation.
I can imagine.
I was gonna say, I know it. I'm gonna be blunt, and it was horrible. I hated every moment of it. Getting yelled at by people because your attorney's not available for them to speak for right then and there. I didn't enjoy that work coming into it is, and then especially after my son was born, because I was still doing it. I'm watching these people, play with their kids were pawns in these games, and I was just like, this isn't where I want to be. I can't deal with this anymore. So, decided Rob had offered at that point, kept in contact. He knew what was going on at that firm. So he's like, well, I've got the job opening. Do you want it? And I went, yeah, because you know what? I'd like to see me actually making a difference. Yeah. And that's how I feel here too. But unlike Taylor and Shannon, I do the probate work for the firm.
Okay.
So I see what happens when there aren't estate plans, when there is no will or a trust, or if, when they should have a trust and they only had a will. And I see the pain that the people their loved ones are going through after they pass. So being able to see what we do, putting those powers of attorney, the wills, the trusts, all of that in place, they don't have to come see me again. Their loved ones aren't sitting there for another 12 to 18 months going through a court process because we did our jobs. And there's that satisfaction of knowing you're actually making that difference.
Yeah, satisfaction and a really good feeling. That's nice.
Yes.
Rob Melick is not with us here today on this Melick Monday, but we do have his paralegal team from Melick Law with us here this morning. Stacy McAnally. I think I mispronounced it again. One more time, Stacy.
McAnally.
All right, thank you. Taylor Janisic also with us, and Shannon Schwartz. One of the things that Rob does talk about often is avoiding probate for folks that don't even know what the heck it is. They instantly know that it's not anything that they want to be involved with. So, Stacy, when you mentioned that your focus is the probate work, let's talk about what that entails and what you do see when folks don't have things properly set in place, because it can be emotional, to use that word again, and messy. It can be an emotional mess.
It is an emotional
expensive
mess. Yes, an emotional, expensive mess. Best 3 words there that you could sum it up.
So we want people to avoid that. What is that like for you doing that probate work, and what does that entail?
So whenever we get that call, we set them up with Rob to kind of come in. We do let them know, like, we can't start this process till we have the death certificate. So a lot of times that's a big holdup too, because they don't have that for 2 to 3 weeks after the person passes. We can't create the EIN numbers that you need to get into the estate. We can't do a lot of that stuff, so there's a holdup to that. And then on top of that, we have to have meetings and sit, either myself or with myself and Rob, and we sit down and we have to find out who's all the interested parties. Because not only is it just you, well, now if you have a deceased sibling, let's say, all your nieces and nephews are part of the probate.
Oh, boy.
So you could be talking about anywhere between 2 people to 50 people, and I've seen it happen. So then you have, court contested hearings. Court has to appoint someone as personal representative. You're looking at 12 to 18 months before the court allows us to close the file.
That sounds horrible. That's a
and they
long
can distribute,
time.
right, and then they're held up, their distributions are sitting in a court file basically until they close it out. And then anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 paid to either us or the courts, depending on what fees are accumulated and how. And then, it's an emotional mess too, because you have the meetings, you have to go and follow the book basically. It's not just a simple procedure like here it is, here it isn't. No, you have to go through the whole process, and the courts are going to tell you what you can and can't do.
Yeah, that when we think about how fast summer has gone by, just hearing you talk about like all of those months, that doesn't go by that quick when you're waiting in a
Not
situation like
No.
that. No,
Not at all.
So Melick Law has a handful of different locations. Who wants to talk about where the locations are and then share the phone number for Melick Law?
Sure. So right now we've got offices in Richfield, Port Washington, Beaver Dam, obviously, and West Bend. We will be moving at some point to our new office building in Saukville, and we'll be closing Port just because they're right next to each other. What's the point?
Yeah.
Any of the office locations, we can be reached at 262-347-3444.
That is Shannon Schwartz. She is one of 3 paralegals on the Melick Law team. Melick Law is your go-to place when you finally decide to put things in motion and pull together your estate plan. Why is it so important to have an estate plan?
So the court doesn't put their paws on your stuff. I mean, if you have more than $50,000 in assets in the state of Wisconsin, which usually if you own a home, usually you will, then it's very important to have stuff in place, because otherwise it's got to go through the court. And I think everybody can agree you'd rather not. So
Yeah, for all the reasons Stacy was sharing earlier.
And it's also public record. I forgot to mention that.
That's
You
right.
do the trust, by creating a trust, will keep it all private, whereas the moment the will and that goes to the court system, everybody can see where you distributed your money. Simple phone call to the court. We'll get you that information, basically.
Yeah, no one wants all their information in black and white for everyone to be nosing around through. That's horrible. People are going through enough when they're in a situation like that. Where is Mr. Melick today?
He is currently prepping himself for his football camp that he is currently doing for USM, and they joined forces this year with,
Oh, goodness, I don't remember.
it's not the car, not Prius.
It's Pius.
Thank you,
High
Pius.
School.
I never would have guessed that.
So they are currently forming now, since there was not enough on both teams. They have formed their team, and he is the head coach for that this year. So.
I love that. He's really outgoing. He really
Very
enjoys.
involved.
Yeah, he really enjoys helping people. He
Yeah.
is very involved.
Very.
He really cares.
Yes.
Yes.
And he doesn't have a
cares.
kid on the team this year, so shows you how really committed he actually is.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. And he doesn't like vegetables.
No,
no,
not at all.
Are you allowed to bring vegetables into the office?
I would probably quit if I couldn't. So
Salads for everyone except for Rob.
exactly.
I don't eat salad either.
One of the things that Rob will talk about, and I remember this being one of my first, like, what? Say that again? That's really the reality kind of moment as we started hosting the show together, was when he had shared, and he talks about it every show because it's really important for people to know regarding children turning 18 that are still in school.
Yeah.
Really important to have paperwork set up properly, especially power of attorney for health. Why is this so important?
It's funny that you bring it up because we have a seminar thing that we're doing on Wednesday, and that's actually one of our topics, or part of the PowerPoint presentation, is why young adults on 18 or older need to have that in place. And a lot of times, or a main point and reason, is because HIPAA comes into play. As soon as that child is 18, they're an adult. So the healthcare power of attorney will allow their parents to get that information, because legally the hospitals in that can't give it to them the day they turn 18. So, you might be in a situation where you're lucky enough it never comes up and your child's always lucid and coherent and making their own decisions. But what happens if they suddenly are in a coma and they can't make that decision? Mm-hmm. You need to have that in place so that happens, so you can have that ability.
Yeah, I can't imagine how terrifying, paralyzing a parent would feel to be in that type of a situation.
Right.
So do each of you, I know your focus is probate,
Yep.
Stacy. Is this a type of paperwork that you'll help to pull together for clients when they know like who their point person is going to be?
It varies on, most of the time they meet with Rob one-on-one. However, there are definitely the times where it's for lack of better words, an emergency situation where they realize, okay, well, we need to get this in place, or I can't find something that I know I had and I'm going in for surgery tomorrow.
Oh boy.
Shannon, Taylor, myself, whoever's really free, Rob will give us, that task. Hey, can you call and get that information so we can have these drafted? And we all will, that's our cue. Okay, let's just get on the phone, get what we need, ask them to put together. A lot of times when they call in, beforehand, they'll ask, I know Shannon and Taylor are two people that take the calls most, but they'll ask, what do we need to bring? Or what do we need? And they'll give them the list at that point of, well, normally we don't need much, but we could use this, or this.
What are some of those things that people need to bring for getting something like that in order?
Well, in general, not just for POAs, but even just, other documents that are part of the process, unless you have like previously drafted documents already in place, we usually don't ask you to really bring anything other than yourself. I mean, a lot of people will bring like a typed up list of like beneficiary information with like first names, addresses, and phone numbers, and that is incredibly helpful. It's not expected by any means. I mean, it's our job to gather that information if need be, but sometimes people will bring that along and it just makes it a much simpler process. But yeah, other than that, just yourself, unless you do have those previously drafted documents, because either some people have powers of attorney that have been previously drafted and those are totally fine and they don't need to be updated, but the other stuff does. Sometimes they do need to be updated, so it's helpful to have those, but that's really the extent of what people need to bring.
That makes it sound easy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, we can handle that.
Yeah.
This is a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of Melick Law, not WBEV or Good Karma Brands. Rob Melick not with us here on a Melick Monday, but we have his paralegal team with us here today. We have Stacy McAnally.
Yep.
All right. Taylor Janisic.
Yep.
And Shannon Schwartz, the trifecta of the team here. It is really nice to get to know each of you and to know that there is a whole team at Melick Law behind Rob. He does such a great job making people feel at ease and really making things that can be difficult for people to understand. He makes them easy.
Absolutely.
And I like that he doesn't mind texting. Like, he'll put it out there often. I'm a millennial, so I don't mind texting.
Pretty much.
Love it. Is there a different number when we're texting Rob than I think you had shared the number earlier, Shannon?
Nope, that's the same number. We get texts on the 262-347-3444. It goes to all four of us. So whoever's free, you'll get a response from one of us.
Excellent. Just a total team effort, like when you're talking about, one of those emergency situations. Sadly, if that, something like that happens, it's basically, it sounds like you're all at the ready, and it's just like go when something happens.
Pretty much.
What is it like to have that first appointment with Rob Melick when someone just wants to come in and have a conversation, learn about what is involved in pulling an estate plan together?
We try to keep it as simple as possible because, one, we know it's an uncomfortable topic already that you're coming in to discuss. So I know just sitting through a few meetings with Rob for that initial consult, like, he'll sit down with you, try to kind of get an idea of what you're looking to accomplish. Some people want to just do a simple basic, I just want to make sure, my guardianship is in place. So we know at that point, okay, we're looking at just a will, or powers of attorney or some form of that. Whereas some people have 7 or 8 parcels of land and they have this or that and they may need an LLC or on top of an estate plan. So he'll gather all that information at that first meeting and just have a conversation with you. If at that point you decide you'd like to proceed, because we don't expect you to know right then and there, we'll give you a call back and we'll set up a second meeting and then go more into depth about information itself. But a lot of times that could be done in the first meeting if okay, this is what I want, but not sure which plan per se I want to go with, a will-based or a trust-based. That's pretty much what you'll be talking about in that first meeting.
Okay. Do you want to talk about the difference between a will-based and a trust-based plan?
Sure. So with a will-based plan, we have our powers of attorney and then your basic will. That doesn't guarantee you're going to avoid probate, though. A lot of times, though, if you're just, let's say Shannon and Taylor, because they're a lot younger than I am. But, not married, don't have kids. Sorry, guys. But
all good.
because of that, they both rent, so there's not form of assets per se that
Sure.
they have currently. Rob would look at that and be like, okay, well, then that plan would be what would suit you best. Now, with a trust-based plan, that's the point we want to drive home most, because that is your ultimate protection from probate. So that is going to include your powers of attorney. It's going to include the trust document, which has your distribution of assets and where you want everything to go. But that's going to be held secret and private versus being a public document.
Okay.
We then provide you with a declaration of trust ownership, so that way, in case you have those things like your vehicles and your refrigerators, things that you can't put into a beneficiary designation, that's your key basically to have it go to the trust upon your death. Then we give you your will. Even though it's not a will-based plan, you still get a will that says, I have a trust, so if the court needs to see this paperwork, you can't see what I'm actually giving to people, but there's a trust that exists.
Okay.
So we give that, and we call that as just their pour-over will, and then a document that we have them sign just is our own little document. It holds really no legal effect, but it allows your trustee to know what you put into place with us and at what time or what day you did it. Mm-hmm. So that way, if we come back, because Rob is awesome, and once you pay for our services, we don't charge you for revisions.
It's really nice that he's willing to do that. And even if folks
Yes.
want to just bring in their existing documents,
Yes.
oh, nothing's changing. Okay.
Exactly. So if for whatever reason they're like, okay, well, my son got married or whatever, and we really like his wife, and we do an amendment to the trust to include said wife, we would note that on the new certification so they know, okay, well, this isn't the latest version. So, I mean, it's not technically a legally enforced document, but it's something that we like to provide, so
Yeah.
your loved ones will know what's going on after you pass.
It's important to have that transparency, to help that communication.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then with the trust, we do the deed that Shannon had mentioned earlier to make sure upon your death that we transfer that, so.
There's a lot that goes into that. I mean, it's simple, but there's just a lot of
Paperwork.
Yeah. And so thank goodness we have each of you to help Rob with those things. This morning we're getting to know Stacy McAnally, Taylor Janisic, and Shannon Schwartz, the paralegal team with Melick Law. Rob Melick of Melick Law joins us the third Monday of every month at 11:10. He had prior obligations today, so it's really nice of the three of you to make the time to cruise into Beaver Dam. Does he have work waiting for you at the higher insurance office? Because that's where he works out of when he's here.
We were supposed to, but things changed, so we actually do not anymore. But yes, it was originally planned that way.
Have you guys met Sandy and Matt Hire?
I have, yes.
Okay. What about you two?
Oh, I've met one of
I
them
believe
probably.
you met Matt,
Okay.
Okay.
because he's typically in the office.
Yeah.
So.
What about you, Taylor?
I
Have you
think
met the Hires?
I think I met. I was there. I've only been there once. There was
Mm-hmm.
a woman there. I honestly don't.
Might have been
No.
Jill, the MVP at Hire
Yeah.
Insurance.
Yeah, I
She's
think it
right
was
there.
Someone.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Matt had a lot of fun with his family at the Dodge County Fair. It feels weird being in the studio today because every day last week, starting on Wednesday, the entire team was at the Dodge County Fair. And Rob was really excited about being at the Washington County Fair.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I know did you guys make your way out to the fairgrounds also?
He had
I
one
did
of
not.
us at least. Yeah, Taylor decided no.
I
which
held
is
down the
fine.
fort.
She held our
I held down the
Richfield
fort.
down. Shannon was out there a few days, and then I was out there over the weekend with
Lots
them,
of people
so
to see,
There was quite a few.
good
yes.
conversations.
Yes.
Do you
It was
enjoy being out
interesting.
at events like that?
I personally do.
Yeah.
So.
I like it. I like people watching though, so the
Yeah.
fair is a good place for
Yeah,
that.
it's fascinating. Did you have any weird fair food?
I really enjoyed the pickle pizza.
That's right, I
Pickle
forgot about
pizza?
that.
It was.
Ew.
It doesn't sound like it would be good, but it was surprisingly good. Yeah, they
Yeah.
had pickles over it and dill.
Ew.
They served it, or you could have with some ranch and garlic.
Okay, that
It's
sounds
pretty
interesting.
good.
Did it have a sauce on it, like a ranch or a garlic?
It was some sort of white sauce. I don't know what it was.
And cheese? Did it have cheese on it? Just
It
like
did
a
have cheese,
traditional
yeah.
pizza?
Mhm.
I've never heard of pickle pizza. That's one thing I did not see at the Dodge County Fair. Huh.
So I remember seeing it. I did not try it, but then I do know there was a booth close to us that had homemade fudge, and I know they come every year. So I raid their booth every year, and they had dill pickle fudge.
Oh my goodness.
And that one I could not do though. I could not get myself to buy
I
that.
just do not like pickles like that.
I do. I bought a giant one at the state fair because I love pickles, but that was crossing a little
You
bit
lost
of a
me
weird
at chocolate
line.
and pickles.
Yeah, I know that's sounds a little odd. Does Rob eat pickles? Because it's
That's a good
Well,
question.
it's a
No, he does
vegetable.
not
There's
because
no
he has
way.
given me his pickle in the past when we've gone to lunch.
no.
Yeah, there's no way.
There's got to be something. There has got to be one vegetable we can get Rob Melick to eat.
Corn on the
Probably
cob.
Brussels sprouts.
Oh, okay, that's solid.
Oh, I was being sarcastic because
Oh.
that's like the worst.
Taylor, I love the Brussels sprouts.
I love them, yeah, but if you don't like vegetables, I feel like that's just the worst one.
Oh,
I don't
my
think we're going
goodness.
to win that battle.
No, I'm going to keep working on it, though. We're getting to know Stacy, Taylor, and Shannon, the paralegal team with Melick Law. Rob has offices scattered here, there, and everywhere. Share with us again where you can find Melick Law.
So
Hit 'em with
right
the
now,
list.
right now we've got offices in Richfield, West Bend, Port Washington, and here in Beaver Dam. We can be reached at any of those locations at 262-347-3444.
When Rob talks about how easy it is for folks to get in touch with him, because it is, whether it's making that initial appointment or setting an appointment to have existing documents looked at, possibly updated, these are big life things that all of you are helping folks get in order. Stacy, when you were talking earlier about, guardianship, one of the things that Rob talks about often on the show is, making sure that you have those final wishes in your estate plan regarding who will be taking care of your children. And a lot of folks think, well, I've got this, notarized piece of paper here, so I should be good to go.
Unfortunately not. And another misconception that I've come across too is, well, isn't that what godparents are for? That's what they're for in the church or in your religious beliefs, but not in the legal world. The only way that it's going to go smoothly, I guess, for lack of a better word, is to have that in place in a will stating who you want your guardians as. A lot of times, too, we'll see families who want not necessarily a family member. They want a close friend or somebody that they've known for a while watching their children, because either they might have a similarly aged child, their religious views might be more towards what they want their child to be raised in, but if that would have to go through the court, more than likely that friend that you want is not going to be elected because they're not family at that point. You have to have that in writing in a will.
That was another thing I was really surprised to learn, is that the majority of people don't have a family member in place for that, but because of a few of those reasons that you shared as well. And that's something that people definitely need to make sure is buttoned up, because I can't imagine having to go through a process where there is some type of court battle, right, and wishes aren't honored.
I made sure right after my son was born that I put that in place, because that would be, as a parent, that is the one fear I can alleviate. Like, why sit here day after day going, well, what happens, if something happens to me or my husband? What happens to my kid? Well, now I already know. It's in my will. My brother and my sister-in-law, they have agreed to take my child. Like, I know he will be taken care of. So I can at least not have to worry about that.
How does that feel, not having to worry about that?
So, it's not something I want to think about, but knowing that it's there and in place, and if something would, heaven forbid, happen, it's taken care of. I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's a good feeling.
Yes.
And, being able to, have that peace of mind and kind of not even thinking about it.
Yeah, I just know Robin, one of these two, will help deal with it when the time comes.
How old is your kiddo?
He is 6.
Oh, my goodness, that's a fun age. Did you take him to the Washington or the Dodge County Fair?
He went to the Washington County Fair, and we went to State Fair as well.
Oh, does he have a favorite ride? What did he enjoy?
For the Washington County Fair, that ride, he loved the swings that went up 30 feet in the air, and he convinced Mom to go on with him despite her horrible fear of heights.
Wow.
So we did that, and then at the State Fair, they had a little mini roller coaster kind of thing, and he wanted to spend all day on that. And I told him no, because we have to pay every time we go on it, so that's not happening.
Good on that.
That's
yes.
Funny. Stacy McAnally, Taylor Janisic, and Shannon Schwartz, the paralegal team with Melick Law, joining us here this morning. When I was with Rob a couple of weeks ago, we were working on some things outside of the show, and I saw something on the website, and that is really catchy. Before you die, call this guy. And I had never seen that before.
That's new. Yes.
Okay, I love that it had the effect that it just had right there, laughing, a little lightheartedness, because Stacy, you had, mentioned earlier that it is really hard to talk about estate planning and your wishes and, what goes where and who should be what, but so very important.
Yeah. And the slogan itself, we laugh because it's definitely one of those that it was a little work getting there. We wanted something catchy.
So you guys worked on that together?
We did. We were just the sounding board.
Okay. We were his validation because his wife was not a big fan.
No, he did share that with me.
So we were the other females that were like, yeah, it's good.
It's memorable.
Yeah.
It's gotten really positive reviews so far. I think he has like a big sign for it now. He had it up at the Washington County Fair. I think maybe in my 3 days there, one person was kind of grumpy about it, but everybody else had the same reaction we did.
There
They
always has
laughed.
to be
You can't
one.
win them all.
No,
You
there's
cannot
always
win them
one,
all.
Shannon, in every place. It's been really fun getting to know each of you. What are some of the things you enjoy most about working with Rob Melick?
Oh my
He's
God.
just such a great
He's
guy.
so cool.
It's nice working for a millennial.
Oh, I like
I
it.
forget he's even a millennial. But I would have to say the best thing about Rob is like he just cares. Like I think, a lot of people, I think we're very blessed to work in an environment where we don't work for this giant corporation where we're just kind of a number and what can we do for them. I think Rob understands that valuing what we can do for him, too. Like he definitely values all of us and it's very evident. And it's just so nice because it's like, it makes coming to work just so much easier. And it makes you want to, do your best. And also, I mean, he's the greatest guy. So it's like when he needs something, it's like, yeah, of course, like no problem. It creates a really good work environment for sure.
He creates a family environment.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
family, yeah. He's a family man.
I
like,
mean, I've
number
only
one.
known both Shannon and Taylor for a few months, and yet they've become some of my best friends.
Yeah.
Like, we can sit here and talk work and be upset with each other and whatever reason, but at the same time, we know that because Rob's there listening to us and what we need at, personal or professional level, we know it's going to be heard. And that's something I don't think I know from even prior job experiences, not even the last firm I worked at. You are just a number most, so being able to, call that more if there's something with Kate and my son, I can't make it in today. Just do what you need to do. Like, it's so nice knowing I'm going to get that kind of response versus, well, too bad, so sad, get your butt into work now.
Yeah. Or there was even this morning, I told him, I said, I accidentally agreed to a 6:30 a.m. workout class on Friday.
I thought you were going to say I accidentally agreed to go on your show today. Rob.
No, I told
That
him
was
that,
told.
and so I was like, so I don't think I will be, but if I'm a couple minutes late on Friday, I'm sorry. And he was just like, I don't care, dude, it's whatever, you're fine. But it's like, it's just such a nice and understanding guy.
That's great, and that extends to the folks that you're working with too.
Oh yeah, if you're a
because-
client, yeah, he's like how we were talking earlier about how this is a sensitive subject because it revolves around death and money and things. But like when people meet with him, I know that they walk away because you can tell they walk away feeling like they didn't just sit down with your, Joe Schmo attorney, like, okay, blah, 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 see you later. He, like, cares about you. He cares about your situation. He's empathetic. Because, like, you can be sympathetic, but to be empathetic is a whole nother degree. And, like, it's genuine from him. It's not fake. He's not just in it because he wants your money. He wants to genuinely help. And I think that makes the whole process a lot easier, too.
Absolutely, and he's so good at explaining things.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I know that things start with that educational piece, and of course being a good listener,
Yeah,
helping
he is.
someone make sure everything falls in place the way that they want it. But he is very empathetic.
Very empathetic.
Well, and
truly empathetic, yeah.
another great thing too is he's like a lawyer who's like the least lawyerly lawyer you'd ever met.
Okay.
Just like, I mean, you've seen him, how he dresses, how he acts, how he talks to people. When you like get this image of a lawyer in your head, it's like some guy in a full suit, super professional, legalese all the time. And Rob is just the most laid back person ever. And I think a lot of people also find that comforting, that it's like you're talking to a person, just like we're sitting here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And kind of to add to that too, he'll tell you like it is. He won't tell you what you want to hear. So
Yeah.
yeah, you may not like his answers, but he's telling you legally this is what you can do. If you
Sure.
don't like it, I'm not going to sit there and break the law for you, but
Yeah.
he'll give you the options of what you can do, and I think that helps our clients too just realize, okay, I've got the best, going forward with what I need and what I want to accomplish.
Yeah.
Or like even, it may seem like expensive to do a trust, but he pushes people for that so we don't have to see him back for a probate. Whereas like some other attorneys,
They want that money.
they'll double dip. They'll be like, yeah, will is fine, but then I'll get you for a $15,000 probate later when you die.
Ooh, yeah, you have to question when
Right.
things like that come into play. Oh, and I saved the hardest hitting question for last, okay? So when you were interviewing with Rob, how important is it that you are truly Milwaukee Brewers fans?
I'm trying to think, did that even come up in your interviews?
think so.
I don't think it
but
did.
I could have rolled with it if necessary.
I know we talked about music.
I feel like,
Yeah.
so when I was interviewing him, it too felt like a very, not like informal, but more just casual. It was more so getting to know you as a person rather than getting to know what your resume says.
But yeah, I don't think we ever asked anything about the Brewers.
No, we talked a lot about music.
He asked who one of my favorite country music artists was.
That's-
Yeah.
And I said Morgan Wallen, and then he lit up like a Christmas
And I
tree, and I was like,
snorted.
good answer. And then he asked
way to
me
go,
what my
Taylor.
favorite song was, and I purposely hit him with a old classic song, not like a, current one, so he knew it was real.
Yeah. Okay, so then
That's
was
what
the thing,
sealed
and
my, honestly, I think that's why he hired me. I don't think anything else
Yeah.
mattered.
That was the
Just
thing
kidding.
in both of our interviews. Then 'cause
Yeah.
I said country too, and I was like, yeah. So
And I snorted during
Yeah.
that one too.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
he like lit up for mine too. I was like, yeah, my boyfriend, all of his friends are in a bluegrass band, and he was like, really? Yeah, it's cool.
Well, it's really cool that you guys came in for the show today. Thank you for doing that. I know Rob appreciates it, as do I. Stacy McAnally, Taylor Janisic, and Shannon Schwartz, the paralegal team with Melick Law here with us. Thank you, ladies. It was really great to
Thank
have
you
on
for
the show.
having us.
Thanks for having
We got
us.
to get out of the office for a bit and change the scenery. We love it there,
Anytime. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Rob usually is here with us, and hopefully he'll be back next month. He joins us the third Monday of every month. Rob Melick of Melick Law here on your hometown station. This has been a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of Melick Law, not WBEV or Good Karma Brands.